Alright. Hello, hello everybody! Welcome to stream! Strange day to have a stream going on, you know. Not used to being here on the Fridays. Hello everybody. Hi Quinn. Hello everybody. How are you doing today? What's the energy? What's the vibe on this Friday? Strange day. Not the day that I'm usually here. What do you mean lies? Hi, how are you guys doing? Used to be here every Friday. Oh my god, you're so right. I totally forgot we used to stream on Fridays. That's been so long, though. You had prom yesterday. Oh my god, how did that go? I went to a McDonald's the other day and there were a bunch of, like, kids who had just gone to prom, and I was like, oh my god, congratulations, 12th graders. I didn't say that to any of them, but I said it to them in spirit. Your first stream, hello. My prom, when I went to prom, what I did after prom is I watched Hereditary with my friends. You know, very common prom activities. Trying to find a job, I get that. Mom's going to a concert tonight for her birthday. What's the band? Quinn? It's tiring. I went temporarily deaf in one ear. No, that's the best, though. That's how prom should be. Just exams? Gross. Hate that. Hardy? I don't know who that is. Fancy in my kilt and coat. Oh my god, you wanted a kilt? That's so iconic. I love that for you. But hello, everybody. Welcome in. Country rock artist. Ah, that's why. I don't listen. I ain't be listening to country over here. What a symphony on Sunday. 100 years of epic film scores by the Seattle Symphony. Oh, that's fun. Love that. I just want to be. As the stream title says, we are going to be going over a bunch of submissions today. This isn't a roast stream. This is just a crit stream. So I am still tired, but not an angry tired. I will say that I am still mildly disappointed in you guys because there were a total of there were four submissions. 1, 2, 3. No, 3. There were 3 submissions that did not know how to submit a Google Drive folder. So, I'm upset at you 3. Can't believe you still don't know how to make a share link. One day you'll do that. Do features oh yes, we're not gonna do features today because this is the entire stream is submissions, so we're not featuring any like thing that's from the Discord today, but we'll do that tomorrow. Tomorrow. But not today though. Shh. Not knowers of Google Drive, yeah. Okay, good. But okay, before stream begins, gotta say my little spiel. Because our mission here at Wayne Canvas is to make art education easily accessible to everyone, so join us for free live stream lessons every week. We're not just a YouTube channel. We are an online school of illustration, helping art nerds turn their passion into income. So shout out to our amazing students and members for supporting our mission. We love seeing your incredible artwork and watching your skills improve in our classes and weekly critiques. And if you're an art nerd, be sure to join our Discord. You can find our notes and artwork from streams, as well as challenges and other resources to help you improve as an artist. Cool and epic. Slay. But yes, we're gonna jump into it. I'm gonna be fixing your spooky characters. To where a lot of the advice will be how to make concepts spookier and how to make concepts just better in general, because monster design is fun, and it can be tricky to get something that actually looks good. Dramatic pauses thrown in liberally. It was definitely not because I was looking at other windows and lost my place in the paragraph. But we still submit no. So we have our submissions closed. Some of you submitted, like, it says that this is for spooky characters. One of the people just submitted a person and was like, I want to make her dress better. And I was like, this is not what the submission says. So that tells me that some of you don't know how to read, so you should do that. I promise I'm not spicy today. These are just grievances that I have. But yes, I've picked 6 here, so each person gets dedicated like 20-ish minutes. So then we'll be able to takes me lots of time. Yeah, appreciate Kevin's hard work. But yes, let's get into it, because I don't want to waste time. We should get into there faster. First one is by Ether. She submitted this one. Ether. I don't know how to pronounce that. I'm saying Ether because that sounds cooler. Ether submitted this one. I was a really big fan of this. I'm gonna pull back the curtain a little bit. We have to do a lot of these, and sometimes it gets really like quiet and boring when I look at them on my own. So I had a counsel with me while I was going through these submissions. I had a council of my friends going through some of these, and when we were looking through, we popped up on Ethers, and all of us were like, Ether, yeah, correspondence. Oh, artist in chat. Everybody points at the artist in chat. Artist is there in chat. We love that. Love to see that. Hello, I hope you're doing well. She mentioned that she has always found porcelain dolls and centipedes and scorpions her own personal terror. Based her off of them in an attempt to make a somewhat scary beast. That's a fantastic start. Horror always starts best from true horror. So it's always good to base something off of your own fears. I, on the other hand, I love bugs and I love porcelain dolls, so I'm like, that's a good time. Jesse's Council of Creeps? No, they're my friends. My council of friends, and my partner. We were all going through some of the submissions. When we opened Ethers, all of us in unanimous went, ooh! I really like this one. This one is one of those ones where I know this is like a whip character, but I really enjoy the concept. This, like, multitude of, like, patterning is really, really fun here. It really does give, like, that kind of, like, porcelain china or like, you know, like sort of older plate work and stuff like that. So I was really I'm a really big fan of this. I love the shape of these arms too, which I don't know if this is intentional or not, but like the way that this one, I love specifically how this one is shaped, just because right up here you have like this pattern that follows deltoid over here, follows the tricep, bicep over here, and you've got like a little notch right here that could be for your elbow bit. It's not the acromion process, is it? No, acromion process is... whatever. Your elbow bone right here, the joint that connects to the ulna, and then you've got a nice, like, again, like, sort of back and forth for the two forearm muscles. I like that a lot. It's like this build-up of the arm is really cool. Yeah, she mentioned that she was inspired by scorpions and that sort of thing. I love this concept. I think this is really good. So let's improve upon it. So this is a really, really good start. Like, I am like, this is a fantastic start. I'm like, I see the vision. I see where you're going. This could be really, really cool. I can feel the animation. I can feel the vibes behind this one. I really like it. But there are ways that we can obviously make this more unsettling. Me personally, one of my favorite things that I like to do if something is based off of insects or any sort of like animal or something along those lines that is inspiring the beast, is I really like to bring more of that animal in. To where, like, I know you've got the scorpion tail going on here, but I think we can push it more. The scorpion body's perfectly fine. I like that it's not perfectly scorpion, because if it was, then it doesn't feel monstrous enough. I love the mandibles that are going down here. That is sort of like, they're meant to look like the forceps, but it's also meant to be kind of ribbony. I would think we can really push this more by adding like hints of there being more behind this face. If you follow the shape of the mandible right here and add just like a really thin seam line, what that can imply is that the mouth then opens up more. So then it's not just like that perfectly still like doll face, but then you can have it so like maybe then like the mouth opens up. You can get like more gross with it. Have that open up like that, you know. You got the bottom thing here. And do not add sharp teeth. Okay? That's my number one thing. If you're gonna add teeth, you can add teeth. Don't make them sharp. Don't you dare. The least scary thing you can do is add in sharp teeth. There are, like, several rules for proper horror. Human teeth is a great option, but there are several rules for proper horror, and one of them is that you should never, ever, ever add in just like, sharp teeth. Because the second that you do that, it's no longer scary. There are, like, several things that you can do with horror that makes things no longer scary. And the scariest part about horror is the unknown. This is the element of not knowing what is going to happen next. And by hiding this within this, like, there's like a slight seam, if you add that slight seam line here, keep this like really perfect lip like that, and just add that slight seam line, it adds a hint of mystery, right? Because then it's like, oh, something can happen, or that could open up, but you don't know what's in there. And then if you open it up, whoops, if you open it up into that more buggy, kind of like buggy mandible sort of like vibe, that could be really, really good. Like, if you have that. Right? And you've got that spidery kind of there. And if you do want to add, like, teeth, you can. Just make them as perfect as you possibly can. Make them as perfect little human teeth as you possibly can. Because then that's a lot spookier. Watch this, right? Straight teeth versus if I did this and I was like, okay, I'm gonna make it scary, and then I did this. Right? I'm actually gonna properly draw in these sharp teeth. Right? You feel how much less unsettling that is? Right? This is way freakier than this is. Right? Sharp teeth are not the go. You never really want to do sharp teeth because it's just not gonna be scary. Right? Hello. The scariest part of the stream is how effortlessly you make them look scarier. Yeah. I love these eyes. I'm loving how, like, dead they look. I think we can make them look more dead. If we are to take this, let me just hide this really quickly. If I was to take this, I like the little dip in there. I would bring the white down more. I would make these look, like, I love the, like, uncanniness. I would keep it as, like, uncanny as possible. So I would actually unembellish these just a smidge. Shorten this a bit. And keep these eyes, like, looking, like, directly in front. So then they look painted on. Right? You kind of feel the difference between this versus this. And then it's like what this is doing is you're bringing this face back into Uncanny Valley. It's that kind of like, it's the very, very slight, small difference. Which, by the way, is a really funny thing that I heard once where somebody, for those who don't know what Uncanny Valley is, it's a very, very it's become more popular, in recent days with horror because, like, people are starting to just, like, the more popular crowd is starting to discover what it is, and it is, that weird, like, sort of section between unrealistic and realistic where it's not quite in one direction or the other, so it, like, sets off our alarm bells. That's what Uncanny Valley is. So, like, if you were to... and have it so it is in the direct center of the eye itself, and by doing that, the eye itself not in the direct center so it is looking forwards, the direct center of the eye. So by doing that, what you're doing is you are making it so her vision kind of looks like she's looking not at you. Right? Having your eyes unfocused is another really good kind of like strategy for something that feels like it's like not human enough, right? It's like if I were to draw in, let me do this way. Let me just have it so it's, yeah, mirrored. If I was to draw in a pair of eyes really quickly, and let's say that we've got them, like, more focused in. So they're looking a little bit more at you, to where you would draw the pupils just slightly inwards, right? So, like, imagine we have this set of eyes where they're looking directly at you, versus the second set of eyes. Whoa! Oh, wrong layer. Whoopsies. That's okay. Versus the second set of eyes, where I draw it in the direct center of the eye. Versus trying to make the eyes look like they're looking directly at you. It is the most minor of differences. But you kind of feel how this is more eerie versus this one, right? And this one, it's like we have our eyes directly focused in on the person, and this one looks like they're not really, they're looking past you, right? They're not looking directly at you. I hate that, using that, right? It's the focused versus unfocused. Right? So if it's like, if the eyes, you kind of have them, you already had that, but this way by sort of making them more, like, a little bit less, like, embellished. Making them a little bit less embellished, less is more kind of tactic. It, like, helps with the, there we go. This versus this. Feel the difference? Right? That, like, if you feel the difference between the two of them. This versus this. right? And it's like the second one, by unembellishing it, you push it more into the uncanny valley, and then keeping those eyes unfocused. It's like, imagine this like chasing after you, and they're like not really looking at you, they're sort of looking around you, sort of looking past you, looking at like the potential of you, whatever that potential is, right? That sort of idea is like a lot scarier, right? And remember, horror is all about the unknown. Horror is all about not letting them know your next move, right? You want to make them feel a lot less, what do you call it? You want to make them look like you don't know what's going to happen next, right? And that's really, really important when it comes to horror, because the more that you give away, the less spooky it's gonna be, right? The more where you're like, horror is weird because you kind of want, you're thinking sort of in the opposite direction of visual storytelling, where you kind of want them to know less, and that's what makes them scarier, right? If I take a couple of like some of my favorite horror monsters, I really love Jean Jacket from Nope. And like that, it is an alien, it's alien horror, but it is still so freaky. Hang on, Jean Jacket. Nope. Jean Jacket from Nope. Hang on. Can I, like, open this image so it's not in Reddit? I guess I have to use Reddit. Right? Like, what am I looking at here? Right? Like, this doesn't make any sense. And it's, like, it's really, really good. I love this, like, this design is so, like, huh? Right? And, like, you're so, like, huh? By looking at Jean Jacket, but it's a really, really good, like, it's a really good design. Not a horror movie, but in, what do you call it? The Arrival, or just Arrival. Arrival as well is a really good movie. That one also has a really, really good alien design that's very, like, huh? And, like, I really enjoy that design, too. But a lot of monsters, they work the best when they are a lot of the unknown, right? So try and keep that in mind when you're moving forward with this one. But I love this more fantastical sort of monster that, like, leans on creepy more than it does, like, abject horror. Because this reminds me, Ether, if you're still in chat, there's a game from a while ago. It was called Stray Cat Crossing. You might like it. It's an RPG. It was really, really good. It had this one character who was like, she was like a worm in like a tree. I really, really liked her design. She, instead of a porcelain doll, she was like a grub with like a Noh mask. If you don't know what a Noh mask is, N-O-H, it's part of like, Asian, I believe it's Japanese or Chinese culture. It's a really, really good game. If you don't play it, I recommend you look it up just to like see. I believe it's called that, Stray Cat Crossing. Stray Cat Crossing. Nope, Crossing. Yep, this is the one. I highly recommend it. Really, really good game. It's short. It's a good time. Recommend you look into it. But yes, everybody, round of applause for Ether. Thank you so much for submitting. Just like all of the roast streams, like all of the roast things that you guys end up seeing from me, after the fact, if you would like your working files, your files with the layers and stuff and all my notes on them, reach out via Discord, and I will gladly just give those to you. So these files are yours and you can take them after the stream is over. But yes, thank you so much, Ether, for submitting. Excellent design. I'm excited to see you finish this. It looks cool. It's really cool. Okay. This next person, this is Kewpie or Pan. I'm probably gonna say Kewpie because I love Kewpie mayo. She submitted this one. I've seen you around in the Discord. I've seen this design before. I love this design. I was like, I've seen you around and like, I think you had one that was a little bit bloody, so they were like, should we like ask them to flag this? And I was like, maybe for the minor blood they should, but I love this design. This design is sick. I was like, this is great. This is one of the ones where it's again less abject horror and more the concept is a little freaky, which I enjoy. If you ever end up watching this, this character reminds me of There's an artist that I really love. Her name is Busagi. And they have a character species called Legion. And like Legion is like human centaurs. Like they are like it's like multiple humans stacked on top of each other in like really, really funky ways. One of my favorite ones that I saw, I believe what they did was it was like they had like the person up here, and they had their torso like this, and then it split off and it was two more necks like this, and then more torsos like that, and they sort of like walked like this. Like it was like, it's weird. It's really, really weird. It's the kind of like body horror that's just really, really funky that like I enjoy a lot. I love Busagi a lot. Really, really good work. And I really, really enjoy I enjoy weird anatomy. So let's improve upon that, because there are some things in here, like I love the concept, but there's always improvement that we can make when it comes to anatomical body horror, because the more scientific you get, the better that your designs are going to be. And I'm like, I love this, but a lot of it does feel really stuck on, so let's improve upon that. When we are drawing anything, the best way to make stuff look better, the way that you get better at drawing what's on top of the skin, is knowing what's going on underneath. So when I teach centaurs and things like that, what I say is like, okay, it's like, let's say we've got a rib cage here. How the arms connect is via the scapula and the collarbone, and that's what makes up the shoulder cradle, and a shoulder girdle that like connects to your arm bones and whatnot, right? Which is great. It's like we have that shoulder girdle there. So then that means what we need is a second shoulder girdle that holds up these arms, right? Which then means that we need a second rib cage down here that can hold a shoulder girdle. Now, because of the arms being in the same position as the hips, oh, hello! Hi, artist in chat! We're pointing at the artist in chat! No, you're good. Hi, Kewpie. I was glazing you for a bit. I love this design. Yeah. So what's happening here is we have the two arms connected here. Now, if you didn't know too much about bones and whatnot, we've got the cervicals here, then we've got the thoracic, lumbar, and then we have the sacrum that connects to the pelvis. And the pelvis down here would be with the hips. The pelvis is also known as the pelvic girdle, and that is what holds up our legs. Now, there's two options. What we can do here, right, is we can keep this skeleton here. We can keep the pelvic girdle, and then we can, what we can do is we can do something really funky with the back of the iliac crests, and we can make almost like a faux scapula and a faux acromion process here that connects this here, and then we have a second set of arms, but then you'd have to do something funky with the muscles. Other thing that you can do, which can make this character look a lot freakier, in my opinion, what you can do is you can have it, which is what I recommend to students who are trying to do centaurs, is you add a second rib cage. Your lumbar becomes your new cervical. You have a new thoracic down here, so then you can add a second shoulder girdle, add in the arms, like this, and then you can add lumbar, pelvis, legs. So then it's almost like you've got two torsos stacked on top of each other. So it almost looks like this torso here becomes the neck, right? And you've got like a second neck here that stacks on top of the arms, right? And then what you can do is from the sacrum down here, then you can continue this out and have that secondary horse section. But then it's almost like centipede-like with the top part here. It makes it like a little freakier. Which if I was to not have this all as bones and just have this as body, what we would have is the stomach here, extra pair of shoulders, extra torso, like this, and then the more horse-like, because you mentioned that she's almost horse-like, we'd have more horse-like muscle structure for the legs down here as it goes into a torso. You kind of feel that? That, like, slight... It's a little more body horror-esque. It's a little freakier. Which is, like, this is one option. The other option that I mentioned before, right, you can kind of feel this. This feels, like, a little funkier, and then you can have her have 2 stacks of clothes. And you can have that funky thing going on, too. And then you would also have to deal with the idea of, like, the pants going all the way, this is hilarious, by the way, having the pants cut there. Right, that's one way you can do it with those bones. And then the second way that you could do it, if you wanted to do the weird pelvis thing, where if we have the thoracic here, down into lumbar, down into, if you wanted to keep the pelvis down here, you could create, you know, keep these leg bones the same, but then you would also have to create faux scapula in the back here off of the iliac crests, and then you could make, you know, arm bones that go off of there too. But then you would have to do funky stuff with the muscles, because what's happening here again is that it kind of does just feel really, really stuck on. So you would instead have to work with the muscles of the body. What I would probably do, which, by the way, I have never taught a muscle lesson. Biggest reason why we have never done a muscle lesson on the channel, and why I personally am like, I'm not going to do a muscle lesson. Muscles are 20 times harder to learn than bones. And the only reason that they are way harder is because muscles work off of you already having a really solid foundation of anatomical language. So muscles are really easy to read so long as you know what all of these words mean, right? Like, an easy one to know is, like, the flexor digitorum, right? The flexor digitorum, what that is, it is a muscle that flexes your fingers, right? Flexor tells us that it is flexing. Digitorum tells us our fingers. Flexor as well, it is to flex and to, oh my god. There's the opposite of flex, but those ones are extension. Flexion and extension are 2 anatomical language things, and it's like, if you didn't know what any of that means, then it's like you don't know what's going on, right? So a lot of muscles are really hard to learn because you need to learn a lot of language, you need to learn a lot of that, and then there's also muscles on top of muscles. There's superficial muscles and there's deep muscles, and it's like knowing both of them, it's tough. So that's the reason why we haven't done muscles on the channel. Regardless, is there a specific way you learn bones? Yes, I went to university. But a big thing here, if you didn't know, our muscles in our legs mimic the muscles of our arms. The back of our legs look very similar to the front of our arms and vice versa. So what we could do here is, if we have our gluteus maximus down here, we can almost translate our gluteus maximus, our butt, into a deltoid instead. So we can have our deltoid here on the side that flanks out of the butt area, and it's almost like we can have one part of the bicep down here and another one that sort of comes out in this direction. So it's almost like we've got 2 sets of muscles coming out from here. I don't know the leg muscles as well as I do the arms, but having this kind of come out of your flanks, so that's like a second way to do it. This is also hard too because you wanted it more horse-like, and horse muscles are also very, very complicated, because their deltoids and trapezius sort of wrap around the back here. So you'd probably have to have these muscles sort of do that magic and have a much wider external oblique on that side, so then you can fit in the arms. Now this is, again, like I mentioned, the best sort of designs work with anatomy to the best of their ability. And it's like, this design is really tricky, the second one that I'm showing off here. This first one is the easy way out, because this one's just adding in more. This one is, like, messing around with it a lot. Personally, I think this is cooler, just because it's way trickier. But that's also because I just like making my life harder. Yes, the VODs are always saved. But you know, there's lots of, that's me knowing the muscles, right? That's me understanding and knowing where these come from. So, like, That's the tricky part. And that's just the front of the body, right? If we get into the back of the body, really quickly over here, again, really cool. I love this. Having the legs again stacked in another set of arms, to which then, if I was to kind of translate this, then we would have, if we have the horse-like structure, let's say that we keep this horse-like thing here. Let's say that we've got like our rib cage here, goes into, so it's, we have our, well, we go down here, into another thoracic, into another lumbar, and then pelvis, which I might shorten this personally, just to give it more of a, just to make it a little bit closer to how a horse might operate. In which then, I do like the first one though, it's very cool. Yeah, no, it's interesting. This is really fun stuff. If we take a look at horse bones really quickly, horse skeleton, horse haunts skeleton. I just went over horses with students, exclamation point classes. I just went over horse bones with my students not too long ago. But if you kind of take a look at horses, horses are also called something called unguligrades. Unguligrade creatures walk specifically on their nails. So if we have this right here, this is our femur, and then we have our tibia and fibula over here. Then we go down into our metacarpals here, and then we go down into our carpal, and then like keratin, because this is just like a nail, right? To where our legs, like human legs, it's like femur, and then radius and ulna, or no, sorry, your tibia fibula, and then you have your metacarpals, and then your carpal, and then your, or metatarsals, and then your phalanges. Right? Metatarsals, tarsals, and phalanges, right? Because we are plantigrade, because our entire foot is planted on the ground. Our heel, our ankle is planted on the ground. This right here is a tarsal, all the way back here. And then this is all metatarsals right in the front. Right? So horses are a little bit funky because of the way that works, but you've chosen to keep a human leg. So that makes this harder. So we have our pelvis right here. Let's take that again. We've got our pelvis here, which the human pelvis is more round like that. A horse's pelvis sort of opens up in the back a little bit more like that. So it sort of bends down, but there's no problem with sort of just translating into a femur, patella, tibia, fibula. Yeah, I might push this down more, just so then it's like, it feels a little bit stronger in that way. It just feels a little bit closer to each other, it doesn't feel quite as far. Took the funkiest of both worlds. Oh yeah, no, it's great. Which would work for a scary creature? What do you mean? Like which option of the first one to the second one? Because I haven't given you two options for the second one. But yes, very similar. Pelvic girdle mimics the shoulder girdle in a lot of ways. So two ways that we could do this. One way is if we add in, again, faux scapula, maybe come off of the iliac crests here, very similar to over here, and then add in our arms that come off of this part, make a faux acromion process, and then have the arms like this, so it bends backwards. I mean, this is a ball and socket joint, so you could also just have it so it, like, bends up as well. That's also an option. Or, maybe people are gonna hate me for this one. This one is a little bit weirder, if you want to get real weird. Try to make it look like she was just landing from a jump, opposed to so hard to do. Oh, okay. I can help with that, too. This one's a little bit weirder. Pelvis, sacrum, goes back into lumbar, another thorax. So then we can have arms that do this, and then we could also have that be part of the tail. So it's almost like then the spine elongates more, and it's almost like you've got a second torso coming off of her back, right? This is a weird one. This is a weird choice. So then the cervical, what do you call it? The cervical bones would then turn into a tail like this. And then you have, like, the second set of arm like that. Which is pretty cool, too. I would enjoy that a lot. But that's me. That's like choice number 1, choice number 2, which I erased choice number 1, I realize now, but that's okay, whatever. And if you wanted to see the vision, we kind of bring this around like that. We would have to, because if this is our oblique here, we would have Lydius Maximus and do that magic. It would curve this way. Have our 2 legs going on here, and then it's almost like we have just a really short extra torso back here, and then it looks like it's going up into a neck, but instead it's a tail. This is a really off design. It's like the early 2010s RPG, like having like this neck kind of just look like it's like spewing out. That's cool. I like this. That's funky. Right, this is me sort of like throwing ideas at you, what you could do if I wanted to like improve upon this in some way. Like if you wanted to make this like extra weird, that's like a possibility. Obviously these are all just choices. What should work for scary? Human leg morphing into a horse leg. I like the human legs more, just because like if you just turn these into hooves, it wouldn't be as like fleshy and freaky. So I'm like, I like this a lot more personally. Backwards ribcage, yeah. So it'd be like there'd be a ribcage here that moves into the legs, and then a backwards ribcage here, because this would be like treated as if it's like another head. So it's almost like you have like 2 opposite directions going of 2 people. It's almost like one brain decided to survive and the other one's like gone, right? Like that's another way that you could do it that's like kind of freaky and fun. If you wanted her to look like she's like bouncing and prancing around, what you gotta do is you gotta show weight, right? Because right now the way that she looks, it's like she's just kind of walking and then we have the back leg here. If you want to make it look like she like just landed, what you might want to do is like have it, you want to add more weight and more movement. Diagonals are always more filled with movement than diagonals always have more movement than what do you call it? Than horizontal vertical lines. So I would like have it so it's like one leg kind of touches down, and because it's plantigrade, we can have it so it's like maybe the bottom of the feet are up more, just the heel. And we can have these arms like this, a little bit of foreshortening there. And if we wanted the more horse-like thing. You see what I mean? More diagonals means better movement. You see how this looks like she's skidding more to a stop than this one that kind of just makes it look like she's like walking, right? And you can even do this magic. A little bit of motion lines. But yeah, this feels a little bit more like she's like landing by comparison to this one, right? Sort of feel that. Okay. But yeah, we love skeletons in this house. Highly recommend, because you're in here now, highly recommend you look up Wusagi, B-W-U-S-A-G-I, if you don't know them already. Because they have a creature called Legion that I really enjoy. Very similar to her. It's like people stacked on people in really funky ways. Her human centaurs. So highly recommend you look those up. They also do a lot of like just really funky centaur designs. My personal favorite was the mansion centaurs, where my personal favorite was the teacup, the teapot centaur, which was really, really cool. They like used like the serratus anterior and like the pectoral muscles and stuff to make the design of the teapot itself, and like the spinal cord and the spine itself was the thing that opened and shut the lid of the teapot, and you opened it up and it was very turtle-esque, the way that the rib cage was like the back of the teapot. Really cool. I highly recommend you look them up. Everybody claps. Thank you so much, Kewpie, for submitting your freak. again, all working files will be available later if you would like to grab them. They will be in the Discord, or just find me in the Discord or contact admin, and they will get you in contact with me, and I will gladly give you this working file after the fact. All yours. Okay, next one. Got Nick. He submitted this one. Again, this is another one. I had my council, my council of friends and my partner. We were all looking through them, and we looked at this one and we went, ooh. And then we kept looking, and one of my friends went, oh, that's there. That makes it instantly not scary. I like the execution of this one. I love the rendering. He mentioned, where are you, Nick? In the file. Nick, he mentioned that this is a monster design for a Friends comic meant to be a manifestation of violence. And there it is. Its hands are fused with a knife and gun. The hole and horns are symbolic, looking for general advice on the design. Here's the huge problem with this design. It's good. It's like this design is good. I like the horns. I love this hole in the torso. That's awesome. Just the little bit of like visual language is really, really good. The huge problem is the fact that you fused it with a gun and a knife. That is a huge problem because, again, with horror, with any sort of monster design, the second that you make it obvious what their deal is, they're no longer scary, right? You want to make your characters, you want to make your creatures as imposing as possible, and the way that you do that is by not telling us what they do. And, like, if you want them to be scarier, you want what they can do to be less obvious. It's kind of tangential with the background because of the limited colors. Yeah, I'm like, this stream, by the way, I'm not really talking much about, like, the actual illustrations themselves. I'm talking more about the anatomy that I see and, like, the design and whatnot. So, like, this part up here, I probably wouldn't change much, if anything. What I might change, personally, is I might make them less humanoid. Because I'm like, I like the uncanniness of having these arms really, really long and then having the hips align with the elbows, because that's, like, a really nice, like, ratio playing. I would probably cave in that rib cage more, though, personally. I'm like... I might, like, concave that chest more, instead of it being, like, properly, like, a big, intimidating anime character. I might, like, make this thinner up here, so then we can really, like, make this feel really bony. So then, like, again, if I was to, like, make it, like, just pure... I might lengthen the neck, too, just a little bit. Keep these up there, because I like this silhouette a lot. If we keep these guys up here, keep that, wrap this up, no facial features, because that's great. Keep that, make this neck a little bit longer, make the torso a little bit thinner. I might make the rib area a little bit thinner. And then keep that hole there. Because even though it is, like, a manifestation of violence, what is a better manifestation of violence than the result of it, right? And it's like, I wouldn't be like, oh, it's like, if you're, like, if you have your thesis, right, and then your professor is like, what would you, like, what is the piece that you would do if you are trying to make something that is more, like, related to violence, or, like, to something like that? I wouldn't make it so it's like, oh, this creature is, like, holding a gun, holding a knife, and they look extra violent. I would instead probably do it so it's, like, what is the result of violence? The result of violence is death, it's famine, it's everything that, like, it leaves you empty. I'm like, I like this. It's like, you could also have it as like, oh, it leaves a hole in you, that kind of thing. And, like, having them feel more like, because this isn't like, they're not meant to represent war, they're meant to represent violence, right? And it's like, I would probably, like, have it more like that, right? Think of like the aftermath of like a war. Think of the aftermath of like a conflict of some kind, right? The people that are hurt the most are the people that aren't fighting. So I might do something along those lines, where it's like we have more that sort of like societal impact that happens there. So yeah, I would thin this out. I don't know why this is on a diagonal. I would thin this out more, make them look more like famished, more empty in that way. Might bring the shoulders up more like this. Might have them more hunched, actually. Instead of like just straight up like that, I might have them more hunched. So then like instead we have like our, like that. And we kind of have the arms like pushed forward a little bit more. And then we can really have that sort of concave, yeah, sort of have that concave-ish look. Like that. And yeah, keep the neck long like this. Whoa! Is it about to thunder? Just heard thunder. I don't think I would put another hole in the chest. Less is more. Usually you don't want to work with even numbers. You want to work with odd ones. So it's like having 2 would feel a little bit much. I'm like, less is more. It's a little bit better. So yeah, I would have him sort of like that. Keep the arms nice and long. Love that they're down to the knees. Yeah, again, I would remove this gun. I'd remove this knife because that's I'm sorry, it's really cheesy. So I would probably instead, there's a couple things that you could do there. One of the things that one of my friends mentioned is like what you could do is you could like have them just be like really long hands. Like that is an option. I'm like, I would probably default to that, is just the really long sort of like crispy looking hand. Another thing that you could do that I think I like more, that I just came up with on the spot just now, is if they didn't have hands at all. Right? And you kind of just had it like, so they sort of just trailed off. It doesn't even need to be like sinuous. It can just be like, it just ends right there. Which then again, result of violence. What's something that you lose as a result of violence? You lose limbs, you lose parts of you, right? So it's like, that could also be really good, is if it's just ends. Like there's no hands at all. It just like ends there. Right? And it just kind of like stumps. And then also as well, with no hands, nothing there at all. What about no hands? There's Kay! There's one of my council members! Hi, Kay! To ensure the quality of my council members, when we were all looking at the creatures, Kay is the one who DM'd for Corrin's campaign for 3 years straight, and I fell in love with like all the monsters that he made. So, we have very similar tastes when it comes to creatures. But yeah, no hands as well also adds that like, council members. No, I was telling chat that like I was looking through these when I was deciding, when we were deciding like what I would do for stream. It was like you guys were there, like we were also chatting about it. We brought up this one. Kay was the one who made the comment that it's like, because there's a gun and knife here, it's instantly not scary. So there was, then I explained that further as well. Nick, there you are! Oh my goodness, I can't re-explain everything, I'm so sorry. You'll have to rewatch it in the VOD. But yeah, no hands at all I think would be a lot better. Because then this one is like, this isn't a branch, this is like it's like as if it was like ripped off, but I'm like, that might be a bit too much as well. Gore is not scary. Here's another thing for you. Gore is usually not scary. You have to do it in a specific way where it is, but otherwise, excessive gore is just not scary, it's just gross, right? And it's like, yeah, artist in chat, everybody point. Gore, to like an extreme extent, is just not scary. You have to do it in a very specific way where it is actually freaky. But I'm like, yeah, so I'm like, that is a choice, but I'm like, I think I like the stumps a little bit more, to where it's like, if you just took this character, let me extend this out more again. Yeah, because I would take this guy, and like, I'm sorry, it's not gonna be perfect because there's noise over this. If you just did like that, that's a lot better. Yeah, that's instantly better. Like, just if it just ends in, like, pikes. Because then it's like, I'll make this longer, too. If you just end it in, like, pikes, then it's like, what are we doing here? You can even not make it sharp. Like, if you make it, like, blunt, then it's like, what? Right? It's like, what are we doing here, right? Yeah, unsettling or gross is not scary, necessarily. It's true. So it's like, yeah, and then I would bring this down. Whoops, I'd bring this down, too. So then it's like, we have, then... You can have that going on there too, right? And it's just, we just have like the long stumps. I would thin this out too. Really well done muscle anatomy, but I would I would thin it out so it's like bring in more of that like mild uncanniness. So then it's like we have a little bit less to work off of. So they feel even less human. So it's more like it's just pikes. Right? It's like we don't really totally get what's happening here. It's just a long sort of like thin tendril. Right? You can kind of feel that difference. Here, let me... Ooh, go back. Right? You feel the difference? Versus like the... You can feel like the thinness and like thinning it out and like lessening that like human-y factor. It just makes it feel a little bit stronger. Right? And it just kind of creates a more, coming back to the uncanny valley, if it creates a more uncanny sort of like visual language, and it makes it feel a little bit less, if he makes it feel more like an entity than something that like a, just like a muscle guy, you know? Feel the difference? Right? You can sort of see that going on there. And it just makes it feel a little bit like he sort of goes back into the unknown. And it's like that's sort of like that really rectangular silhouette. Like this, sort of like, it is so straight-laced. He kind of got that Roblox like rectangles kind of going on like this, but it's better, I think. And like it feels... Yeah, the lankiness kind of makes it feel... the lankiness gives it more of like a haunting silhouette, I think. Life is Roblox, right? It gives it that sort of haunting sort of energy, I think. So yeah, that gives it that. Instead of the sharp... I'm just noticed the talon feet as well. I think I would also make these into pikes. Right. Make it a little bit more haunting. Which again, like if we wanted to relate it back to the concept of it being like to violence, what are really common things that people lose in war are arms and legs, sometimes just feet, right? It's like if they walk onto a landmine and then it's like, boom, they're gone, right? So then it's like there's just parts of them missing, just like the extremities. So then it's like you've almost got all of that sort of like gone, right? And then if you keep these as more spikes that kind of just end down here, it helps echo this silhouette as well. So it's like you've got that sort of like three, the rule of threes, like the 1, the 2, the 3 of like the triangular ends. It's like, I think that could be cool. Surprisingly enough, I actually, because like normally what my advice would be too is I would like just don't make this bandage, just like leave it unbandaged. But I actually think I like the bandages more. I think that like it, if you keep them fleshy, mouthwashing, yeah. Oh, mouthwashing would be great for, yeah, mouthwashing is great for more atmospheric sort of like gore. But yeah, if you kept them, don't make them actually bandages. Keep them like, that's like, it's like indents on like the skin. Make this guy, I would keep him either like, if you're just keeping it in black and white, that's totally fine. But like, if you were to like pick his like canon colors, either like make it like white, or like a white or like a gray, or keep it like a flesh color. Mouthwashing is a game. Yeah, bandages imply something bad happened to the face. Exactly. So I'm like, I think I like the bandages. So like I would, but yeah, either keep it like, either keep the entire thing like a gray or like that sort of like dead skin tone, I think would be good. Just keep it all one color, and then that makes it way better as well. Yeah, keep it gray even in the color artwork. Good. Yeah, I would do that too. It's like, just keep it nice and, like, neutral. So then, like, we don't have to, like... A, you don't have to worry about coloring. B, it then also, it creates... Less is more. Huge thing with horror is less is more. So it's like, the less that you decide to add to creatures and the less that you decide to add to your monsters, the better they're gonna turn out. Because a big part of horror is the unknown. The big part of, like, something horrifying is the fact that you know less about it. So again, this guy is a lot more intimidating to walk towards than, like, this guy, right? Like, when you have less to go off of, there's a lot more to worry about, right? When you've got less to go off of, there's a lot more that you gotta worry about, because we don't know what this guy's about, right? It's like, we don't really know what's happening here, so keep that in mind when we are working with critters. The horns would be lighter, like a bony color. I wouldn't do that. I'd keep them completely the same. Like, you could, but I wouldn't do that. Because it's like, again, like, the bandages, I would keep, like, these, like, the same tone as the rest of the body. Again, just to give it that kind of, like... To keep it all, like, feeling organic, I think I would keep it all just sort of, like, that same sort of, like, singular tone. You want to think, who is this diva at all times? You're right. That should always be the... Also implies that this thing had the resources to address whatever bad thing happened, which I feel is dehumanizing for a monster. That is if they're actual bandages and not just part of the body. I'm like, if it's like a flesh wrapping, like if it's not actual bandages, if it is just indent in the skin that sort of looks like bandages, I like that more. I like that a lot, because then it's like, again, it is the manifestation of violence. It's not meant to be like the creature put that on there. It is the manifestation of, like, violence and, like, what happens when you're violent and that kind of thing. So it's like having that sort of, like symbolism on there, I think is really good. We gotta be flesh bandages, yeah. Hello, welcome in. The head shape is very familiar. I was thinking that it's very similar to, oh, what's that game? Hylix? Hylix? It kind of looks like the main guy from Hylix. This is such a far reach. Hylix I have not played. I've been meaning to, though. I know I'll be awful at that game, though. Hylix. If you've never seen Hylix, the game, everybody should go and watch a video essay on Hylix. This is not a game, this is an experience, bruh. Hylix is like if Earthbound was on drugs, dude. Oh, is he not chill? Darn. I didn't even get to see that. I had chat popped out. I wasn't even looking. I'm so good. But alright. Everybody, thank you so much. Oh, this is a bit Silent Hill inspired because the Friends comic I made is for Silent Hill inspired. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, it is pretty Silent Hill. Yeah, 1000%. No, it's cool though. I like it. Everybody, claps for Nik. Thank you so much for submitting. This is a cool one. Thank you so much for submitting. Thank you for putting yourself out there. Again, if anybody wants their working files after the fact, just let me know. Let the admin on the Discord know, and they'll get a hold of me, so then I can give you this working file. Thank you so much. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for submitting. Okay. Oh yes, it's this one. Now, okay. Flatten this immediately. Just take this out. This one is by Onryo. He submitted this one. He says that this is like his favorite critter ever, which is bold to submit to a crit stream, your favorite one. Too scary. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, so this is an example of one where I think, yeah, this one is silly. I'm like, I don't know if I would call him scary. That's the big problem, is that I don't think this one is scary. Is like, I think the main thing with this one, I think he's silly. I think he's very silly. I enjoy him, but I wouldn't call him scary in any regard. And that is also like using sharp angles and like unnatural sort of edges is usually like a good idea. If submit favorite, then becomes more favorite. That's an interesting take on it. Yes, exactly, Quinn. It's like I could not get over the fact that this feels very Poppy Playtime. I'm like, it feels very Poppy Playtime, it feels like mascot horror. And this is the big problem with mascot horror, is that it's not scary. It can be fascinating. I think it can be unsettling at times, depending on what you do with it. Mascot horror is not scary, though. Like, Five Nights at Freddy's, Poppy Playtime, what else is there? I mean, the Walton Files is like unsettling, but I don't think it was like scary. There was... Oh, you're here! Hello! Welcome in! Artist in chat, everybody point. Yeah, the biggest problem with mascot horror is that it's not scary, right? It's like, I think that mascot horror is one of those things where it's popular because it is mascot horror, so like the community has like characters to hang on to, but it is just not scary. Like, I personally like to call mascot horror for kids. It's like an introduction to horror as a genre, more so that it is like actually scary, which isn't like a bad thing. I'm not like dogging on it to be like, oh, it's like, it's not real horror. It's horror, but it's if you wanted something physically properly scary, I don't believe that this is spooky. The biggest thing is that it's like, you've got these really cute eyes, right? You've got these, like, even in this one, it's like you've got the wide smile, but he's silly, he's so silly, right? You've got this like sort of like the two dot eyes on like the cube, and it does sort of give like Minecraft Enderman in a way as well. So it's like we've already got a lot of these like visual languages, like, we've got a lot of these, like, visual languages that we can already call back to. I love these tentacle thingies. I think that that's great. I love this, like, mass that you've got going on. Let's work off of that. So if we want... Yeah, it's hypothetically unsettling. I agree with that. I think that there is potential here, to where we can make it, like... Walk sharper like a spider or something, and two if he was gigantic. That does not change the fact that he's got two little silly eyes on the cube. If he was gigantic, I would agree. It would be a lot scarier. But those two little eyes, when I talked about... Okay, so there was... I actually just saw this in a video recently. Let me talk about Uncanny Valley for a second. So, when we work with Uncanny Valley, we have like something cartoony. Cartoony cute that goes to realism. Right? Uncanny Valley is like here. It's in this really awkward spot. Where it's really close to realism, but it's not quite there, so it makes us feel unsettled, right? So we want to kind of get this weird sort of sweet spot if we are hoping to get something that is spooky. When we have something, like, let's take away the tentacles, and if I just made like a cute little, if I made like a cube, and just gave him two eyes like this, right? You could also see this as a Mario block, right? Mario block is just the two eyes like that, or like, again, like the Enderman. or the Minecraft bee, right? This falls more into, like, here, right? Rather than the Uncanny Valley, or, like, if we want to reach that. We don't have to. That's not always what we have to do. But we haven't quite reached that point of unsettling. So what we could do... So challenge because he's in... Oh my god. Sorry if you can hear the thunder. Mother Nature is angry today. It's challenging because he isn't meant to be scary of all time. In certain instances, meant to be comforting and approachable, so I had to find a way to reconcile those two. You know what the easiest way to do that is? I'm sorry. That's it. That's all you gotta do. Because what you're doing here, by removing the Uncanny Valley realism or the cartoony, you're just making it now an object. And that also brings it back to the horror, but it is not unsettling enough to where you can't, like, approach it at all. Right? Feel the difference. With eyes and without. Right? Because if I took this one, I like this sketch a lot. If we took this, right, and if I just really quickly, like, removed that, then what we have is we have a more object-esque, like, thing, right? You can't see anymore, yeah. But not approach it, like, no chance. Then what we could also do, right, it's like, I wouldn't... Here's the problem, too, is that it's like, these two, like, sort of things here, I'm like, I might approach it. If it's, like, not being, like, hostile or anything. I would just remove the eyes. Like, I would keep it so it is just, like, a square or a cube of some kind, right? And then have, like, the tentacles come out of it. I might also, if you want to make it just slightly less unsettling as well, is you would have, this is strange, but add more. I'd probably have it so there is, like, you create, like, attachment points for the, like, tendrils, so then it looks more man-made rather than it just being a mass, because then in this case, then it's like, oh, it's like they thought about the design and they thought about how to sort of bring them around, right? So then it's like, it feels more like, what do you call it? It feels like a creature that you would see in Cocoon, if you've ever played that game. I don't know if anybody has. You know, I don't think I like the eye. The single eye, like, if you just did like this feels very Portal. I'm like, that, it feels a little Portal, it feels a little bit, this as well is a very, very tropey. I'm like, I feel like if you do this, it feels very much like, it's like, oh, it's like, yeah, it is, it's a camera, it's watching you, right? And it's like, that's, again, it feels very GLaDOS, it feels very Portal, it feels very just like a camera, in which then that's like, that's fine. You can do that, leans it more into sci-fi than horror, I presume. It's like, I think it's better without anything, because then it's like, how is it looking at you? You know? It's like, in this way, it's like, it is coming, like, if it is starting to come towards you, then you're like, why, though? How are you looking at me? You know? Eye sockets with no eyes is too much. I'm like, I think if you add in too much, it's like, different draw the attachment points. Yeah, the attachment points, I think, give it more of like a man-made sort of feelings, if you want that, because weirdly enough, something that we can identify as like, oh, a person made this feels less scary. So it's like, because it's like these two, this isn't even a bad thing, these two like shape languages clash like crazy. Like this cube on top of this mass of like cables and tentacles and stuff. This is such those two clash like crazy, but it works. It's like, I like that a lot. But again, just that little face makes it just a little too cute. So I'm like, I would, and then it becomes more eldritch if you just decide, eldritch alien if it's just the tentacles in the cube, but if you add on those little attachment points, it feels more robotic, in which then you're like, oh, a person made this. Maybe it went haywire, but that takes away a bit of the horror. If you want it to be a little bit more quote-unquote neutral, looking by comparison to something that is more spooky. But yeah, I feel like that's what I might do, is like just to make that a little bit freakier. But yeah, like having like faces, the second that you put like kind of like a cute little face on something, it's like it no longer becomes scary, right? Like that's a cute little guy, that's a silly little guy, you know? Soul, the Disney movie? What about it? The big mutant things really made me scared. What mutant things? I do not even know what you're talking about. Soul, the movie about finding your passion? This role in the story I could adapt it to be faceless in certain scenarios. I'm like, I would just keep it faceless altogether. I'm like, if you wanted to give it like an activation thing, I'm like, if it becomes hostile, then I might just change. I would give it like 2 forms, I think, that isn't just a change of the face. I would probably give it like maybe this is like its neutral sort of like idle, like maybe it's a round. And then, like, maybe you do something with this cube. And then, like, have that sort of unfurl. Very similar to, the first one that we saw, Ethers. The very first creature that we saw, where it's, like, it's simple to start, but then it can open up and there's more there. I'm like, I just wouldn't make it a face. I'm like, the second that you make it a face, this is no longer scary. I'm like, Oh, JP's here. Hey, JP. Oh, that was JP! My fault. Introduction to Lost Souls in the movie. Oh! Oh, I remember that. No, those weren't scary. That's fair. If you were, like, young when you watched that, anything can scare you when you're a kid. Tentacles more ready to attack. That's also a choice. Yeah, that could be something. Yeah, I'm trying to think of like what I would do with this cube, because I'm like, I would do something with the cube. I'm like, having the tentacles like prop up is like an option, I think. It's very Subnautica if we have it be like, oh, the tentacles move around and they go into like attack mode. It could be a thing where it's like because anything sharp is no longer like super scary. Like you could have it where like you could have, what do you call it? It's like maybe they just get longer and thinner as they like come around for you. There is a game, what's it called? Music of the game. Still Wakes the Deep. Still Wakes the Deep. The game Still Wakes the Deep. It's an entire horror game that's on an oil rig. The monster in that, like if you had it move like that, that's kind of what I'm thinking of. I'm like, I can't find anything that I can show you guys from that. But it's like what that creature is you barely get to see it. Like, you barely get to see that monster. But all that it is it's just a blob of, like, flesh, like, from inside. It's like a blob of, like, flesh. And, like, it's nothing but, like, cables of, like, more flesh. And it, like, attaches and, like, spider swings itself around. And it, like, grabs onto things. It's great. It's really, really good. I love that monster. The game is meh, but that monster is really good. Yeah, Still Wakes the Deep is great. They're so scary. Yeah, that game is good. I like the game itself. I love the concept. I love that creature. The ending is, you know, whatever. But the it's really, really good. Experimental with the way it moves, tentacles mean it can move in a lot of different ways because they're basically liquid X strips. Yeah. So I would recommend you look at that game, like look at playthroughs, or like at least go and like figure out how that creature moves, because that's kind of what I'm thinking in my head. That could be good, because it's like another good sort of way to like have it like come and find you. Yeah, I would do something with this cube. I'm, like, struggling to, like... Because, you know, if it's coming after you, if we remove the eyes, what we might do... What you could do is, like, this is, like, this idle, right? It's not really doing anything. Yeah, it's kind of coming after you. Or it's, like, not coming after you. So we have it, like, closed, and you kind of see it, and you're like, okay, well, why is it... How is it looking at me? How is it gonna notice me? So then, like, maybe it opens up in some way where then you kind of just get to see how it's, like, coming after you. The immediate thought that I have is it's like, oh, it's like a flower, and it, like flower-esque, and it sort of, like, opens up in, like, multiple directions. Like, almost, like, camera-esque, and then there's, like, something in the center that, like, and then it becomes almost like a flower as it, like, comes towards you. Like, something, like, with nature, but that's not that freaky. I'm, like, again, it's very, very much, like, action horror rather than it is, like, pure spooky horror, you know? The kind of vibes, pinning spider legs, a bit overdone. Yeah, the spider legs are a bit much. I'm like, I don't think I would turn them into spiders. I'm like having it be like a spider leg thing is not what I would do. I would keep them tentacles. Yeah, it is more on the cool side than it is. Because it's like this shape language is so hard to work with if you want to make it, like, scary. No, I wouldn't add pores. I don't think this is meant to be more fleshy. I think this is meant to be more, like, techy. If I had to guess. Because I'm like, just based on, like, the art that we've been given, I'm like, I don't see this as, like, a flesh creature. I see this as more like a... I see this as more like a robotic thing. You know? It's a robot, yeah. That's what I thought. Character made for psychological horror has more ways to be scary than appearance. Yeah. That's what I'm thinking. Like, if... Yeah, because if it's for psychological horror, having a monster in a psychological horror is a choice. Like, I wouldn't have monsters if it was, like, a psych horror. Or, like, I would have, like, maybe. Because, again, this is the kind of, like, psychological horror that you have in, like, mascot horror. That's, like, FNAF, or, like, Poppy Playtime, or, like, Garden of Banban, like, that kind of stuff. Like, it's mascot horror, so it's objectively not scary, but it is, like, it's, like, it's got, like, the lore, and that's what makes it, like, spookier, I guess. I don't know. But yeah, the biggest thing is I would take away the eyes. Biggest thing, take away the eyes, add some kind of, like, attachment point here so it looks more man-made. And then I would maybe do something where, like, if it is going to attack you, something happens to the cube. Is this for a game? Are you making a game out of this, or is this just, like, a story? Just based on, like, this art, I'm thinking that it's, like, a game of some kind. But I'm like, I don't know. Making a game, okay. Then what I might do then, if you have ever played Legend of Zelda, if you know the Redeads, specifically from Wind Waker, the Redeads in Wind Waker are, they're like, lol 12-year-old me, scared to death of the Redeads. And I played on, like, the Wii U, I played the remake, I'm sorry. I played the Wii U version, and, like, you know, 2 a.m. playing the Wind Waker, and I walk by this coffin that I think is just part of the set design, and then suddenly the entire game freezes, and, like, Link is stuck here, and the door opens, and this, like, very slow-moving creature that, like, its mouth is open, it's got these really long teeth, and it's it's a scream. It's like a loud, shrill scream, and I'm like button mashing. I'm trying to get Link to move. He can't, because this creature, like, freezes them in place as it slowly walks towards you to grab you. And if it gets you, then it pulls you back into the coffin. This is Legend of Zelda: The Wind Waker, the best Zelda game. But maybe then you do something like that instead. Where instead of, like, oh, it is physically scary. Like you were mentioning, it's like I want it to be scary in more ways than just physical. And outside of like the scary, like physical sort of thing, you could do that. Where it's like, its mechanic is what makes it spooky, right? So maybe you could do something like that, where it's like, if it catches sight of you doing something, you freeze, and it starts to slowly move towards you. That's freaky. Because that's freaky. And it's like, it doesn't even need to change in appearance. It's just, it like goes silent, and then it just starts to move towards you. That's good, I think. Yeah, that could be a good thing as well. But yeah. Yeah, the Re-Dead Wind Waker is freaky. Yeah, that scream. It's a proper scream. Like, if you want to look it up, it is a kid's game, so it's like, you know, it's not like it's horrifying. But if you want to look it up, yeah, look up the Re-Deads from Wind Waker. That was a good one. Otherwise, claps. Everybody give claps to Onryo. Thank you so much for submitting. Once again, if you would like your files after the fact, make sure you just ask for them on Discord, and I we will provide. Thank you so much for submitting. Thank you for sharing your critter with us. Appreciate it. Ugh. Voice is starting to hurt. It's okay. I'll get tea afterwards. Okay. Next one is by Sylver. She submitted this one. I believe, what did she say? She said... Sylver, she said... For the life of her, she can't make her character seem scary. Not sure it's the style of my shading and can't make myself feel the character. Okay. Because this character breaks a bunch of horror rules right off the bat. My Little Pony first thought. Yeah. It is very, like, Infection AU. So say T? Let's crop this in. Yeah, this critter, right off the bat, breaks a lot of, like, horror sort of, like, rules in, like, what makes something spookier, right? Because, again, it's not like you have to do, like, things to the rules to make them scary, but there are, like, things that you want to do with creatures if you want to make them spooky, you know? Oh, hello! Artist in chat. Artist in chat. Everybody point! Everybody say hello! I know, we've had the artists here every single time. That's crazy. Glad to see you guys here. There's a bunch of things with this one. I'll write these down this time. So that I can give my voice a break for a second. Alright. Rosie and Mike get along. Yeah, less is more, straight teeth is better than sharp teeth, and you want to try to push the uncanny. Now, yeah, a big thing, huge thing, the immediate thing that I noticed is there's so much going on here, right? We've got so many eyes going on, we've got, like, 2 mouths, we've got the wings on the face, we've got the pony body, we've got the... There's another piece that shows that this tail opens up and it's another mouth, right? A lot going on. Tons and tons going on. And it's, I think we can lower that down. And then the 2-toned hair as well. It's like, I don't think that would be that freaky, right? Really easy thing, right? Watch this. If we have, like, you know, if you're desperate to keep this as, like, a pony, right? If we have, like, the sharp teeth that's, like, happening. If we just really easily... Also easier to draw. It's like, that is a lot worse. If you were walking down a street and you saw a guy smiling at you like this, where my hug at, you know? We're not wanting this, right? This is a lot scarier than this is. Straight teeth are way scarier than sharp teeth. The second that you add sharp teeth to something, it's no longer scary. Because again, it gives you the intention. What's he gonna do to me? He's gonna rip me to shreds. What are we ripping with this? Nothing. So that means they're confident enough to come at you with that, right? This is a lot scarier than this one is, right? Why do you think I draw Corn with his sharp teeth all the time? It's a lot less scary. Corn isn't meant to be a horror character, he's meant to be a little cooler. So it's like his teeth being sharp adds to the fact that they take away his scary factor. Which is like, it feels like it backfires, but it's the opposite. Having sharp teeth makes them look cooler than it does make them scary. Right? So I would take that away. I would take away the sharpness. If you must keep this, then you should turn those into sharp teeth as well. So true, Quinn. Gordon isn't scary. He was scared. No, my baby has, like, he can be like scary in terms of, like, scary the way that, like, a lion is scary. Like, I'm not trying to get close to a lion, you know? But yeah, the best thing about horror teeth is you shouldn't keep them accurate to actual teeth. You call these gravestone teeth, and that means that they are perfect. They are, like, perfectly aligned. They are perfectly, like, shaped. You're not thinking about real teeth with gravestone teeth. You're trying to make them look too perfect, and that makes them scarier. Another thing as well is you want to try to push the uncanny. Now, unfortunately, oh, do these mean that there are teeth there too? Yeah, there's a lot going on there. Unfortunately, yes, the style is in fact adding to the fact that this is not that scary. So if you really want to make something a bit freakier, unfortunately, I would push more realism into this. The scarier that somebody wants something, if you want to actually make something feel terrifying, it's better when it is a little bit more realistic, in my opinion. Because then it's like, when you have that, like, if we go back, like, going to, like, the cute, cartoony, all the way to, like realism. Uncanny falls kind of here, right? Uncanny doesn't necessarily mean that it has to be, like, a human. You can also have that with animals, right? If you kind of have that, like, pushing that realism, but not quite there. Having it be sort of, like, here-ish, where it's, like, more in the realism that it is with the cartoony, then it's, like, it kind of makes it feel a little bit freakier, right? It's like if I was to, like, it doesn't even need to be, like, perfectly with a horse, right? It's like you can just, like, it's like if you want to just have that sort of thing. Add in more, like, neck muscle. Give it more of that sort of look. Yeah. Horse teeth are already scary, that's true. Yeah, you don't even need to scare that. My personal favorite ungulagrade to study when it comes to teeth is a camel. If you've never seen a camel's teeth, you should look them up. Look up a camel's teeth. Make sure that you get an image where it is a night cam, specifically. Camels have awful teeth. But yeah. Right? You kind of got that going on. Yeah, I would remove a bunch of these eyes. Having a ton of eyes kind of kills this for me. The wings also kill it for me. Personally. Like, I don't love the wings either. Oh, ew, yeah. No, they're not great. I'm noticing what you did here, too. Like, it's like there's like a cutoff here and then it continues. That's pretty cool. If you really... I'm giving you this idea. Here's one that you could do. Don't have multiple mouths. Have the seam line go all the way down. And then what we can do is we can have the slight horse teeth right up the front, the graveyard teeth. We can have that sort of start there. And again, the gore isn't necessarily, like, spooky, but if you want that kind of, like, more mascot-y horror, kind of, like, almost gore-esque, what we can do then is then we can boop, 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 and have that go all the way down, like that. And then we can have just rows and rows of teeth that kind of go. And thin these out. So then it goes all the way down here, and then it's like you open it up. Then it's like large and upsetting, right? And then also don't give them a long tail. Just give them a person's, or tail, sorry. Don't give them a long tongue. Just give them a person's tongue. Because that's also worse. That's also not great, you know? Right, and then we can just have that be a really, really long, sort of like, and it cuts down into like the torso there. And that's a good sort of like, this is the fun kind of like gore, I think, that you could have. Something that's a little bit more nutso, you know? Love that idea. Yeah, just have that. Less is more. Less is always more, you know? Instead of having a bunch of mouths, just the one. Just the one that goes all the way down, and it's like a zipper, almost, that goes all the way down. And then just get rid of all these eyes. Like, we don't need any of these eyes. We don't need any of that. Less is more as well. I would, I'd probably lessen the hair, too. If I was to, like, give them hair at all, I would just try and make it look like normal horse's hair. If it must be a horse. Yeah, it's like, I wouldn't try and make it, like, long and luscious. We're not trying to Princess Luna this one up. We're trying to make this look more horsey. So I'm like, I would do this, and then just nothing here. Absolutely nothing. You know? I'm like, I would keep this nice and just nothing. So then all we've got is this kind of weird seam line that sort of follows the, what do you call it? The sternocleidomastoid. Sort of follows that muscle that goes down the neck. Right, so then what you've got is all just a horse. Man, I'm so hungry. But yeah. Because if you just have, like, let me draw this some more again, right? Because I'm pretty alright at drawing horses. If we have... I say that, and then I struggle. If we've just got, like, a horse, Hans. Which, by the way, more realistic horse. This, like, chest dip in, that's actually dog anatomy, if you didn't know that. My Little Pony also took that to make them look more appealing. A horse actually is very much, like this. The stomach dips down. And then we get... Alright, so we have that. Just give us the hair. You can even have it if you want to kind of keep that fleshy tail, just do that, because that's actually as long as horses' tails are. The rest of the hair, the tail is just hair. If you didn't know that, a horse's tail is only like that long. Like, this is about as long as like a horse's tail actually is, if you would just like to keep it kind of fleshy. Right? We want to kind of move it towards the realism. Like, you could give it that really long dinosaur fleshy tail, but then, again, more cool than it is creepy. So if you wanted to keep it bare, just keep it to the more realistic side of how long a horse is. Yeah, horses are a lot chunkier. Horses are actually pretty chunky, because they are very muscular as well. Right. So we've got that, and then you can have it so, like, if, like, the lips, like, kind of peel back here, you've kind of just got, like, whoops. Oh, man. You kind of just have, like, the horse. Like that, the horse teeth. It kind of happened here. This goes down into the sternocleidomastoid like that. You know? And then, like, from there, what we can do is then we push this. Haunts. And then if, like, the mouth opens, then got that seam line there. Alright. You see what I'm getting at? You see what I'm digging here? Right? And then again, don't give them a super long tongue, just give them a person's tongue. And this is that kind of weird gore that feels a little bit better, right? It feels a little bit spookier, feels a little bit more like unsettling, right? Because that's awful. that is unsettling. That is pretty rough to come across, right? Very much like a, what do you call it? It's pretty Stephen King, you know. Living purse, yeah. Zip. You know, unzip that bad boy. Keeping those claw things in the back of the legs be okay to keep? I wouldn't. Like, less is more, right? This, again gives intention. It's like you're going like, oh, it's got claws. That's scary, right? It's got claws, right? The more horse you keep it, the farther you push it into realism, the more spooky it's gonna be, right? So, like, only having like a small bit that is unrealistic kind of pushes it into that sort of uncanny, gross sort of territory, right? Things like in, like, think like Resident Evil monsters, right? Resident Evil creatures are not scary, they're cool, right? You could even say the same thing about Dark Souls and, like, Elden Ring and stuff like that. Those are some great monster designs, do not get me wrong. Those are some awesome creatures, they're cooler than they are scary, though, right? It is, they're very eldritch, they're not that spooky, though, because they've got a lot going on. Right? They're very creative, very interesting, really good designs. They're not scary, though. So it's like the further that you push it, yeah, when the valley is uncanny, the further that you push it into that uncomfortable, sort of uncanny, like, section, that's when it gets scary. One of my favorite monsters, plan to make a horror book, this character with pictures in it, definitely work on it. Yeah. So, like, the further that you push it into uncanny, the more scary it's gonna be. One of my favorite critters, one of my favorite monsters that I've ever heard in a horror story before. My favorite horror story of all time, one of my favorites of all time is, Tales from a Fire and Rescue person, something like that. Tales from that. Like, I can never remember the name because it's long. It was part of, like, r/No Sleep that became just an anthology. One of my favorite designs from that they explain was that somebody came up to, there was a person, they were, like, helping put up a sign in the middle of the woods, and somebody showed up at the edge of the woods, and the guy that was putting up the sign shines a flashlight on his chest, not to blind him, and the guy from the edge of the woods goes, "Excuse me, can you follow me? I need help." And the guy who's putting up the sign is like, "Can you not call, like, rescue services?" And he goes, "I need help." Right? He just keeps repeating that. He just says, "I need help. Please follow me. I need help." And then the more that he's, like, talks to this guy, the more that the guy who's putting up the sign notices. And what he said that he noticed is that he noticed that the breathing, it didn't feel like he was breathing. It felt more like they were intentionally raising, like, expanding and compressing their chest to look like they were breathing. And then when he focused more on his facial features looked just a size too big on the face, right? It's the correct, like, facial size, like the correct size of the head, but all of the features were just a little too large. So they touched the edges of the face more than they should. So then the second that the guy, like, kind of noticed it, he went, "What the hell?" And then the creature noticed that he noticed, and he just ran back into the woods. and that was it. Scary! That's horrible, right? That was horrible! The first time that I heard that... Yeah, Magnus... Oh, I love the Magnus Archives. Like, the first time that I heard that was so upsetting. I felt my spine shiver. That one was really good. What was the story called again? It was, Tales from a Fire and Rescue person, something like that. It's like an anthology. You can find, like, somebody to read it. It's upsetting. It's very scary. And it was really, really good. But my favorite, if you want to actually hear the story that actually scared me, because they're like, I love listening to scary stories. A story that I actually find scary. It's one of those ones where it's a story, so it's not like there's jump scares or anything, but I could not listen to that story and not feel like I was being I always felt like I was being watched while listening to this story. It's like it felt like the hairs on the back of my neck were constantly on end. It was the Hidden webpage. If you can listen to that story, you should. The Hidden webpage is really, really good. The same guy has another story, and I don't remember what it's called, but the Hidden webpage is a really, really good story. So if you ever want to listen to it, again, it fills you with, like, a sense of paranoia the whole time. You feel like you are, like, on edge the entire time you're listening to it. You will never hear a story, you will never look at a bee costume the same again. That's just a heads up. So, the Hidden webpage, really good story. Regardless, though, claps. Everybody say thank you to Sylver. Thank you for submitting. Good luck with this critter. This is you've got potential. You've got to start. So just the more uncanny you get it, the better it's going to be in terms of, like, actually being spooky. All right. So keep at it. Think you're doing great. Claps. Thank you so much for submitting, and be sure to let the admin know in the Discord if you would like this working file. How would you create an Eldritch being? Like, what would you have to consider to create one? Get weird and add a lot. If you want that, like, Lovecraftian, like, Eldritch, Eldritch, personally, to me, is not that scary. It's scary in concept. And it's scary more in its conceptualization than it is in its actual physical being. And Eldritch requires a lot of stuff that makes very little sense. I love creating Eldritch things. They're some of my favorite things ever. This one's by Squidyb, who I'm pretty sure is in chat right now. Everybody say hi to Artist in chat. Indeed, indeed. Everybody say hi to Artist in chat. Hello. Squidyb submitted this one. Squidyb, what did you say? She said... He doesn't feel very threatening, and I'd like some feedback on how to change that. However, I want to keep the suspenders. Yeah, we're keeping the suspenders. Don't think we're getting rid of those. Yes. So, this is a fun character. This is very much like a Dead by Daylight kind of vibe to this character. I said I wasn't going to say anything in terms of, like, actual, like, execution of, like, illustration, but this one I'm going to make just one exception. Let me just organize the file. I'm going to make one exception because there was one thing that I noticed immediately when my counsel and we were looking at we were looking at these pieces. The one thing that one of my other friends pointed out immediately is that if this hand is in the pocket, we got to make sure that it looks like that the pocket is, like, full in some way. So make sure that we have, like, that sort of, like, going on there, because, like, right now it doesn't really feel like the hand kind of disappears in there because there's no change in the forms. So make sure that we've kind of got that going on. Right? So we want to make sure that the hand actually fits in the pocket, right? If we have that going on, I forgot something. Yeah, there you go. So really easy. You've got stripes going on these pants, so that's a really easy fix. Other than that, though, if we want this character to look more threatening, good choice with the mask. Less is more, you know? That also gives them the visual sort of language that, like, the hair is constantly slicked back from what? Who knows? So then we've got that kind of thing. Because what we've got right here is a very, like, 80s to 90s sort of slasher design going on. Me personally, not a big slasher fan. I'm just, like, I am not much of a slasher person, but that's just me personally. So it's, like, a lot of, like, again, like, the very classic movies. You've got, like, Saw, and, like, you've got Halloween, stuff like that. Those kind of, like, characters and those sort of games. He's from the 50s. Oh, even better. Yeah, that's sort of, like, more, oh, okay, so it's, like, more of, like, a circusy sort of, like, but yeah, the, like, sort of, like, killer from, like, slasher movie vibe is not usually my thing, especially because with how those characters are perceived in modern day. These sort of, let me give you a bit of a history lesson, along with, like, everybody else in chat. We're gonna go a little bit off topic from our sort of slasher characters. Texas Chainsaw, yeah, that's a good one. What do you call it? When I was in college, I took a course, it was my elective. It was called Making Monsters. And that professor, he was a psychology professor, and he talked about the history behind classic monsters and, like, things that were scary in media and how they have evolved over the years. Halloween, another one. Yeah. And it, like, one of the big ones was vampires. And vampires, when they were first conceptualized, they were conceptualized during an era, where there was a lot of, like, blood problems, right? And there were a lot more, they were actually, vampires are based in racism, if you didn't know that. They're based in anti-Semitism, because a lot of vampires, they were, created with very large noses, and they were, like, meant to be, like, a figure that would come and intrude in your house and steal from you, right? And it was, like, that's the origin of vampires. But as time has gone on, right, and as we have become better people, right, hopefully, as a society, right, and, like, anti-Semitism is now seen as, like, a bad thing, right? So that sort of, like, fear of like, people has diminished in a lot of ways. So then that sort of scary factor, quote unquote, of vampires has gone away. And then the other sort of thing of vampires that was scary at the time was, again, like, the people coming into your house and then like trying to take your blood and stuff like that. That also sort of diminished because it felt unrealistic, right? And so then that sort of diminished over time as well. The one thing that vampires were left with, get this, was sex appeal. And that is what gave birth to, like, Twilight and, like, all, like, vampires and romance novels and media and stuff like that. Because another thing that is added to vampires, it's true, another thing that is added to vampires is that sort of attractive nature of them, right? Is that sort of attractive nature of that. Very similar to werewolves. Werewolves also had that sort of, like, it started as, like, it's a scary concept where the scary things are started to shed away, and all that is left is that sort of, like, romantic sort of, like, visual appeal of them. And I think that in this current era as well, the reason with me why I am, like, I don't find a lot of slasher characters scary is because we are now in that era where slasher characters are now becoming that, like, what do you call it? They're the actual, like, terror of them is being shedded away, because now what we know as, like, because, like, people are becoming more informed and we are becoming more used to knowing the signs of what an actual dangerous person could be. Because, like, you know, back in, like, the 80s and 90s and that sort of, like, genre of time, it would be like, oh, it's the scary guy next door. It's the spooky person who has, like, their face is melted off. That's the guy that's gonna get you in the middle of the night. No, it's not. It's gonna be your nice coworker that you gave your number to once, and they're gonna follow you home, right? That's the difference in that sort of thing, because now as people, we sort of understand that some of the biggest, like, serial killers and the biggest, like, murderers in time were really nice people. They were people that everybody was always, the number one thing that everybody says when they find out that somebody is, like, a serial killer is they go, like, they were a really nice guy, right? So the idea of slashers now have become that thing where it's like, it's where that thing that like slashers have kind of fall into that trope now, right? Where it's like we are the thing that kind of made like slasher characters and like those guys chasing you, like that they had that minor bit of sex appeal. So what we have left, because we're not that scared of like the spooky guy next door, is all that's left is that sort of like attraction. So there you go, little history lesson for you in terms of like the history of horror and stuff. So let's make him a little more threatening. If we've got that sort of 50s, if we want that sort of like 50s sort of slasher, I'm like, I wouldn't change that much. I might make the mask a little less detailed. I'm like, I might have it so it's like it's actually cleaner, so then we don't have these like stains on here, which then it gives it more that simplistic look that feels a little bit better, in my opinion. So it's like a small like extra thing there. Oh yeah, like people love the ghost face mask now. Like, that's so, like, you know? Like, people... There was a trend where people were asking their partners to wear the ghost face mask. Like, that was, like, a thing, you know? Yeah, sure. If I'm struggling, that means Squiddy did a good job. Yeah. I picked this one mostly... Like, I love this character. I think he's a really good design. I picked this also to do that little history lesson with slashers. So it's, like, there's more stuff to learn with, like, monsters and stuff like that. Yeah, I would remove the grime a bit. I might also actually remove this seam here, because it does help with the, yeah, because that's a little bit more unsettling now as well. It's like normally if I'm like actually teaching, I'm like, you might want a seam line there to like show off the 3D-ness, but like by taking that away, it makes it a smidge more unsettling, because then it's just the face there, which I think is good. I wouldn't remove the eyes. I'm like, you could. That might be taking too much away though. Like, if you remove the eyes, just the mouth, no, it's missing something. I might remove the eyebrows, though, actually. That might be good. If you just do that. It's like I'm just taking away more and more. Either that, or you just change their orientation so they're a little bit higher up here. Yeah, so then it's a little bit more like that instead. So then it follows the arc of the brow instead. And a little bit of a crease there with the eyes. Here, you can feel the difference slightly. Let me find where... Yeah. Feel the difference in that? It's like one sort of accentuates the form more than the other. Right? It kind of gives it that. It feels more like it's a brow bone than it is like an actual eyebrow, I think. Yeah, if he's a normal person, yeah, I'm like, I don't think like I would take away like everything. Like, especially if he's... I was making a lot of assumptions. Is he meant to be more of like a slasher kind of like character? I'm realizing I was just making a ton of assumptions. Like, if he is meant to be that, I'm assuming just based on the axe with the latex gloves. I'm like, that's sort of like the vibe that I'm getting. What I actually also might do... Yeah, he feels like a slasher character. What I might also do, other things like design-wise, I might have... Trying to make him more unsettling. Yeah, that's fair. I think, yeah, because, like, definitely... Yeah, we keep the suspenders because we want those. Yeah, because the latex gloves are good. I might also echo the texture of the latex gloves into the boots. Because if we do that, too... Whoop. Zeus. Yeah, I might switch around the texture. I might add the... I might make these latex as well. Because another thing with latex is it's a very... it's a very smooth, clean material. And, like, it makes it so then things don't stick to the clothes. So if they're not gonna stick to the hands... Make sure we ain't walking in anything either. Right? So then we can also have these be latex as well. So then we can also echo this texture into more of the body. And it's like that might help as well. And then if I want to, because this feels really isolated here too. like the color here, I might add a little bit extra color on the bottom. Just give them Louboutins. It's like add a little bit of red to the bottom of the heel. That might be fun. And this just helps echo the color a little bit more into different parts of the body as well. So it's not just in the one isolated section. And then it's also red, so then if it stains, you don't know. Another thing you could do, because I'm like, the crinkling eyes are nice. I'm like, I do like that. You could also widen these as well. Hello? Why is it? Oh, whoopsies. You can also widen these as well. That's also an option. Because then if you widen that up, then it's like a blank stare. And very similar to the first one. It's like it feels more like a blank stare. And then it does like a proper smile. Because when I teach expressions, which I did do recently actually, exclamation point classes, a big thing with smiles is that if you have a smile, like if you're drawing somebody, like smiling really big, a thing that you want to do is have the bottoms of the eyes crinkle in as well. Right? Because then it's like the cheeks are like going up, because your eyes will naturally like crinkle up. So like instead, if you like... if you decide you're gonna like oh, it's all in the same layer. No! Didn't mean to do that. It's okay. You know what I mean? Like, if you keep those eyes, like, all the way out. Bring those teeth up. You know, that's not very nice. Right? So it's like leaving the eyes like really, really wide and open. It's like that helps a little bit more, because like we're more natural. Again, the realism of it, if when we smile, our eyes crinkle a little bit. So making sure our eyes stay uncrinkled, it's like that could help a lot too. Right? Leaving it without a nose could be good. I might actually move these up more. I might do. But this magic, move it up a little bit more, so the proportions are a bit more off. Yeah. Ugh. I'm getting a call that I cannot answer right now. But yeah. Yeah, I might like raise the eyes up a little bit more. Yeah, because then the proportioning is like, you can kind of see the proportioning, the slight difference by raising it. It kind of makes it feel a little bit more unsettling, I think. It's just a very slight change. But yeah. Yeah, because it's a mask, it's easier for the person inside to see out of wider eyes. Yippee! Right. But yeah, very mild changes. I'm like, I wouldn't change too much. Like, because I also assume you want to keep this body type as well, which is like completely fine. I might, because realistically, if we have like a really wide arm like this too, you would also have it like it's really wide up like this, and then you would still have a little taper in where the elbow is, and then get to the hand, right? If you wanted to keep this really wide, like, because this, like you can keep it like super wide, but it's like having it just like be one big oval. It does still taper in at the elbow, because with our muscles, we have our delt, our bicep, tricep, and then our forearm muscles, and it dips in at the elbow because we only have ligaments there, so there's no muscle that actually attaches to our elbow, so there's always going to be some kind of like bend in there where muscle is not going to attach. Oh, hello! Hello, my love. No, they forgot. They forgot to draw. It's okay. You showed up right at the end. Hi! But yes. Okay, everybody. Claps for Squiddy. Thank you so much for joining. Hopefully that helped a little bit. No, I like this design. Again, I'm not much of a slasher person, but I do like this design. If you want to have this working file, just ask in the Discord, and I will gladly send that when I am summoned. But yes. That is everybody. Thank you all so much for joining the stream today. I hope you had fun. Hope you had fun with that little history lesson that I gave. I love talking about horror and stuff. Again, for all of you who are horror junkies, please go listen to that one that one story I mentioned. It's a really good one. You should listen to the what's it called? The hidden webpage. That's a good one. And then Tales from a Fire and Rescue Agent. That one's also really good. I believe that's what it's called. But yes. That's 6 o'clock. Thank you all so much for joining today. If you don't know too much about us, do not know too much about the channel, hey, wingcanvas.com. Check out the classes we offer. Summer camps are coming up soon. Our spring term is almost done, so I will be teaching comics for the first 2 weeks of July. And then we've got a bunch of other fun little projects that are going to be going around. A bunch of fun other camps that will be taught throughout the summer. All of the files, normally I would say that they're going to be up on the Discord, but this time around, if you were featured in today's stream, reach out, and I will, the admin will connect you to me, and I will give you your working files over there, for those of you who were featured today. And normally, again, I would say if you want your working files, you can head over to Patreon and check those out. Or if you want class recordings and stuff like that, then go and check out School, where you can also see all past class recordings and things like that. Uh-oh, this Saturday you have me again, so tomorrow we'll be back. It's gonna be, I'm covering for Iggy, so this stream is the stream is gonna be extremely chill. You guys are just gonna watch me line pages. I'm gonna be working on my own personal comic. You guys are just gonna be hanging out with me. We're gonna be doing some line art, ask me questions, stuff like that. That'll be great. That'll be a good time. So yes, you'll get me again tomorrow. So I will be back tomorrow, 3 p.m. Sunday, you guys are gonna have Gonzalo. My goodness, you'll have Gonzalo at his debut stream on Sunday. He'll be doing, hang on, I got this. Hang on, I was told this. Turning pop culture into pixel art. That's it. So you'll be streaming with Gonzalo on Sunday. Monday. You guys will have Gonzalo on Monday. Turning pop culture into pixel art. There you go. You guys will have Gonzalo on Monday, and he'll be doing some pixel art with you guys. Love Gonzalo, great guy. But yes, thank you all so much for joining me today, and I'll see y'all tomorrow. Au revoir, bye bye.